Hello and welcome to our group presentation, where we discuss the design thinking case study of Moodle, which is a virtual learning environment used by Royal Holloway, and demonstrate relevant service design tools to analyze Moodle's service design. Since the inception of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020, education institutions decided to move away from conventional methods of teaching and adopt unconventional methods of virtual learning that can help students to connect, concentrate, collaborate, and cogitate in a virtual learning environment. One of the most widely used virtual learning platforms is Moodle, which is used for blended learning, distance education, flipped classroom, and other e-learning projects in schools, universities, workplaces, and other sectors. In this presentation, we will analyze Moodle from the perspective of students. Our group has been using this learning platform since January, and as students, we can be able to address the user needs from our own user experiences, as well as from other students we study with virtually. As you can see on the screenshot, it is the Moodle homepage for us, where we can use the navigation bar to visit different subpages, receive updates about other connected platforms like Turnitin, Penepto, and get access to key support resources and information. Let's look into one subpage that is very relevant for Royal Holloway students on a day-to-day basis. In the My Courses subpage, each taught module has a designated area where, if used as part of a blended learning approach, we can access content, submit coursework, participate in online activities, and communicate with staff and other students. So, after navigating through Moodle's website, it was time for our group to start the research process by collecting meaningful data in service design from relevant resources and methods. I would say the process of researching is more like going out to do shopping at your local market, where you would end up seeing so many products to choose from, but you would end up buying the ones you need the most. Similarly, in this case, we were able to find data everywhere, online and offline, but it was very important to iteratively simplify our research, search for information, scout for potential sources, select the relevant ones, and capture the data for further visualization. In our research stage, we had to start planning what research methods we would use and how we would use our research methods to empathize with ourselves and the rest of the students as the users of Moodle's service design. By building empathy for who the users are and what is important to them, we were able to understand their problems and create a service design with their user needs in mind. Then, our group planned to go into the define mode, where we were able to unpack and synthesize our empathy feelings into compelling needs and insights, and scope a specific and meaningful challenge. We used two research methods that helped us to collect data virtually and avoid physical contact with students due to the ongoing pandemic. The first method was online ethnography, where we were able to study Moodle experiences within our student community and culture in Royal Holloway through the use of various social media applications like WhatsApp and Discord that helped us interact with other students virtually. We also used Reddit to study the Moodle experiences of students in other universities apart from Royal Holloway to investigate their user needs or problems towards the platform and any differences in platform customization that made the experience better or worse. The second method was secondary research, where we were able to study and synthesize existing data from online sources like search engines, websites, academic journals, and many more that were summarized and collated to increase the overall effectiveness of the research. Sources like Quora, e-learning heroes, and e-learning industry were used to investigate and understand forums of past and current students discussing Moodle. We also looked into journal articles from SpringerLink and ResearchGate that consisted of many authors who wrote about analyzing and evaluating Moodle and its user needs or problems as a teaching tool for students in different fields of study. Thus, our collected data from the research would be essential and helpful in the next stages that involve ideation and prototyping of Moodle's service design.
In the beginning, we were confused and we had to understand what exactly is ideation. Ideation is the stage of design thinking that involves the creation of alternative ways of radical designing. The purpose was to diverge and flare rather than converge and focus. Our emphasis was on quantity than quality by thinking out of the box, communicating with psychological safety to get the most out of our team, exploring ignored ideas, straying from the obvious. Keywords aided us in selecting the right tools for idea generation and idea selection, as there are so many different types. Moodle and the other aspects of Royal Holloway online learning experience involve various elements and the relationships shared between them. To fund the links between them, we chose system mapping as our first tool. We believed that it could help us simplify complexities and break them down into subsections to study the relationships. How might we? So many boxes and just as many question marks. We came up with many ideas, but the problem was where to put them and how. We had to go back to look at the crucial keywords such as volume, variety, and diversity. This helped us categorize all the ideas for a cohesive understanding and make sense of things. A visual depiction of the system mapping showing all the elements and the relationships. All aspects have been highlighted using specific colors. The page has been divided into 4 quadrants representing the 4 elements: the teaching staff in the top left, students in the top right, and the IT in the bottom left, as well as the users in the bottom right corner. The challenges inherent to Moodle and Microsoft Teams have been color-coded in blue, which affects all the elements on this map. The user needs are color-coded as white, representing the teaching staff, orange for the IT department, yellow for the students, and red for other user experiences. The color-coded arrows linking the challenges and the needs represent the relationship shared. The black arrows represent the positive and the negative feedback loops between the challenges.
Moreover, we also wanted to focus on the part of the Moodle that users nowadays use frequently, and we thought the Design Thinking's module page is the one that students use frequently, and as a student, we had a great chance to investigate their needs on this page of Moodle. So we researched users who are students in this station, their needs as a user while using this page on Moodle. We observed their experiences and built our tools to understand their needs and meet those needs a little bit. As is shown, this page has a lot of unique features that other module pages do not have. It has been observed that users are more welcome about this page rather than any other module page. This is because the page makes users' life, let's say, more manageable, and page includes a lot of educational sections and information. It even has a QR code that redirects to the attendance page, and weekly materials consistently and logically follow each other, which makes the station easy for the users to find any relevant information they're looking for. Turning to the cons, it's mainly about overall Moodle design cons like outdated design system, or the elements and colors are reminiscent of the design of 10 years ago. Also, for example, card designs are not the same size and card images are not related to the content. And also in some parts, body text is tiny and it's difficult to read. During the observation, there was a section that caught our attention, and it was this completion progress section. As we know, on the website, everything should be clear to the user. Therefore, your user experience should be set up in such way that there shouldn't be a need for an oral explanation or an outsourced information. Despite this section didn't perform well in this regard, and it has been observed that users who do not have any outsourced information about the section got questions in their head and also had difficulties using the section. We can see whether an experience is working or not by reading the quantitative data due to the measurements, but to answer the question of what doesn't work when numbers look bad, we need to examine this data in specific context. To start thinking in context, we need to emphasize with our users and explore the emotions during the experience. This tool, which contains these feelings and helps us examine the data we have in context, is the customer journey map. So we use the customer journey mapping to address the user needs for things that I mentioned earlier slide. In the earlier stage, as my group mate mentioned, during the ideation process, we use system mapping tool to help us simplify complexities, while in this stage, we use customer journey map to see if the users are currently meeting their goals and how they can do it if they haven't. If we have to compare, system mapping was effective to break complexities down into subsections to study the relationships. But the customer journey map showed us what users encountered during the promised experience and how they thought, how they felt, and whether we need to improve touch points. It maps current process from the first touch point to the last touch point to see if the users are currently meeting their goals or how they can do it if they haven't. As it's shown on our journey map, we have 5 sections: actions, touchpoints, thoughts, feelings, and opportunities. The first stage is the login stage. It starts with the user's login to Moodle. While the user enters login details, the page redirects to the Microsoft Outlook, then back to the Moodle homepage. Here, touchpoints are Moodle login page, Microsoft Outlook, and Moodle homepage. Actually, customers' thoughts are good about it. They thought that the process is easy, but sometimes due to the internet connection, redirects takes time. And turning to the feelings, they feel really good about the process. And when we look at the opportunities, maybe to stop redirecting the login page could be effective for a better experience. And the second stage is onboarding, where user clicks on My Courses section and then Design Thinking module, and then scrolls to the Engagement section and clicks on the task. Here, touchpoints are Module menu, Module page, and Engagement section. Actually, users are really confused about this section. They have thoughts like, where do I start? Why there are so many tasks? And they also thought that there's a lack of information about this section, but they also thought that tasks are easy to follow. When we look at the opportunities section, we can say that maybe providing detailed titles for the task will be effective, and changing the colors from blue to green to the gray and green will be effective, because green is a color to illustrate the things that is done, but blue doesn't have that kind of meaning and it can cause a confusion. First session happens when users open the task and finish it and returns back to the Moodle page. Here, touch points are tasks and Moodle landing page. They thought that it's easy to do some tasks, but sometimes some tasks do not have proper instructions and it really takes time. That's why providing detailed instructions for each task could be efficient, and given an extra space for the feedback could be effective for improving this section. Here's an app suggestion. It's Kahoot. It's really an interactive platform. It creates a fun environment for students to do their tasks, quizzes, and anything they really need.
Whilst talking about research, my colleague mentioned feelings and empathy. We had to understand users, how they thought about Moodle's page to get the best of our research method. Also, it has been mentioned in the ideation method that it is the first stage of design, service design, that allows you to use alternative and radical design, that allows you to think outside the box. Based on such characteristics, we decided to apply and use a prototype that was able to combine such factors, empathy and feelings. And that prototype is a mood board. But before talking about a mood board, we need to understand what prototyping is. Whilst mentioning prototyping, we tend to think about something related to an object, a model. No less is more than that. A prototype is a smaller version of your final product. It is necessary because it allows you to see, to have a behind the scenes of how your final product is going to look. Imagine if we had to launch our Moodle web page right now without implementing a prototype. Next thing you might know that we are receiving negative feedback, confusion, poor engagement from students because we didn't implement something that would let us know how people were going to react to a certain product, in this case Moodle. A mood board. Such method benefits both users and organizations as Royal Holloway University of London. It facilitates the customer experience. It is the best prototype in this scenario because it does not require too much time in development. It is very cost efficient, and its simplistic form highlights the issues behind Moodle, and its visual representation of very strong detail. You might see in the presentation text, colors, bigger size of text, smaller size. That's why we decided to divide a mood board in 3 stages: visuals, ideas, and empathy. Visual, firstly, a mood board allows you to visualize mentally a clean picture. In this case, a clean picture is a picture that doesn't have too much data around it. We also opted to insert in pictures, text that are relatable to Moodle, obviously. Based on the importance given to such pictures, we made them of larger size or smaller size, brighter colors or darker colors. The larger the pictures and text were, the more relevant we found the pictures. The brighter they were, the more relevant we found were the pictures. The smaller and darker the picture and the text were, the less relevant we find the specific text and pictures. Following visual, we got ideas, and Moodboard allows you to gather your own thoughts and generate ideas. It allows users to naturally generate ideas as it is very intuitive. Empathy. A Moodboard does not follow a logical trajectory, nonetheless it's very planned. Empathy allows users to express themselves and empathize between each other whilst interpreting looking pictures from different angles. Since a Moodboard is very intuitive, it doesn't really have a systematic plan. Even if we plan of colors, we plan of larger size, smaller size, we don't exactly know how users are going to react whilst looking to a mood board. That's why it is very efficient, because it gives you different representation and interpretation from different users. In this case scenario, organizations such as Royal Holloway University of London are able to analyze students' behavior instantly, as they can acknowledge users' reaction based on their feelings and thoughts whilst looking to a particular pictures or text. The only difference between a mood board and system mapping or customer journey mapping, a mood board is more intuitive. A customer journey mapping lets you see if the customer's needs are met, if they reach their goals. A system mapping lets you know the connection between a system and its relationship between its elements, whilst a mood board is intuitive. You can't guess how users are going to react, but based on the feelings and emotional, you will be able to understand what you can work on, what would you be able to change, or what you should focus on.
A heat map provides you with insights on a website. Such can be represented through two measurements of colors, which are characterized by their intensity and hue. Users tend to scroll mostly around the My Courses and Module section. Such suggested as the most engagement is often around the area. We opted for such tools so that organizations as Royal Holloway University of London could easily see how users' engagement is spread throughout Moodle. As a team, we believe both tools could be efficient to improve Moodle. Based on our understanding, we thought that we could use heat maps to quickly identify users' engagement and A/B testing rearrangement technique to reproduce the same My Courses configuration and apply it to different Moodle pages to acquire the same and more engagement.
As the online-only learning experience is the new normal now, we made use of the whiteboard in Microsoft Teams, Zoom meetings, WhatsApp, and Canva to communicate and work with each other. The recommendations have been divided into the following sections to draw a comparative analysis. Color coding, categorizing content, and the use of the same themes across all modules was derived from our research. The use of widgets, IP optimizations, and the use of badges and icons fall under ideation. Prototyping helped us come up with app plugins, efficient use of Microsoft Teams, and developing a potential first-party platform for Royal Holloway. Furthermore, these recommendations have been elaborated under the corresponding headings to explain how they can improve the learning experience. To conclude, we would like to show you the default Moodle page. Compare this image with the image that follows. Prototyping should be followed by testing, and this new Moodle page has all the proposed changes from our recommendations ready to be tested. The content on the page has been color-coded to signify the level of importance in the order of white, green, blue, purple, and orange. White is the least important and orange being the most crucial content. The modules in the top row have designated badges. Compare the top row with the bottom row. Apps like Discord and WalkMe are extremely useful for communication and navigation. All our proposed changes earlier have to be implemented and tested likewise for a better online learning experience.
These are the references we have used for our group presentation using Harvard referencing format. We also have referenced every image that was used from Google search, and any other images that have not been referenced are from Canva.
We hope you liked our presentation. We thank you for your time.